Excellencies, distinguished guests, colleagues, good afternoon. A special welcome to our two keynote speakers, the Executive Secretary of CTBTO, Dr. Robert Floyd, and His Excellency, Ambassador Karl Hallegard, Head of Delegation of European Union to the international organizations in Vienna. My name is Marius Jano, and it is an honor to host this session today. Having worked myself closely with the colleagues from the European Union, I've seen and I've experienced firsthand how the European Union support has strengthened not only the verification system and technology, has built capacity, as well as empowered next generation of experts. That next generation is vital. The CTBTO Youth Group, as well as other young professionals, has brought creativity, energy that is shaping the future of our treaty. And absolutely, European Union has been a key partner helping us and supporting us in this work. With this in mind, this is how we'll proceed today. First, we have two keynote remarks from Dr. Robert Floyd and the EU Ambassador, which will be followed by a video showcasing the achievements of the partnership between CTBTO and European Union. Then, we will have two youth representatives, one from the CTBTO Youth Group, and the other one of the winners of Be the Voice of S&T Global Challenge. And both of them are going to share their reflections and share with us how they see that CTBTO engagement can be in the future with the next generation. But without further ado, it is my absolute honor to invite on stage the Executive Secretary of CTBTO, Dr. Robert Floyd, to deliver his opening remarks.
Well, good afternoon. If I stand here, then I can actually see you, while if I stand back there, I can see some people in the front row, and that's all. Why are we doing a session about the EU, you might ask? Well, it's a double session, as Marius just explained. It's going to be about the CTBTO Youth Group, but also about the EU. The reason we're going to do a session about the EU, it's the partnership. The partnership between us and the EU, which is over 2 decades long. That is a really substantial partnership. It's a partnership which comes out of shared values and a shared vision. It's a partnership which consists of a number of different elements. The EU is a group of states that we can rely on for political support, for clear, clarion statements about the importance of non-proliferation. And it is wonderful to have those voices coming from a group, but also from individual states. And it's really wonderful to have both of those dimensions at play. But the political side is kind of like talking the talk. And yes, the EU talks the talk and is all for a world with no nuclear tests. But the EU's support and partnership is far more than just talking the talk. The partnership with the EU goes deep into some pockets. The financial support from the EU over more than 2 decades is in excess of 30 million euros. And this is extra budgetary contribution coming from the EU. That's a huge amount of money. The EU states in themselves, they have an assessed contribution of 24.5% of our total budget. Not insignificant. And the EU states themselves in the last 10 years have contributed about another 20 million euros a voluntary contribution. So that's not talking the talk, that's walking the walk. And I, on behalf of the whole organization, are very appreciative of what the EU has done in that regard. There's some other aspects which have become quite topical within our organization, and that is supporting some of our stations and their sustainment and the need to keep our auxiliary seismic stations running. And the EU has been very generous in supporting, I think, more than 10 auxiliary seismic stations in major renewal processes, major sustainment activities. Their support, though, doesn't focus on stations alone, focuses on some of our analytical technology, some components which have been put into our NDCs for all packages, our NDCs in a box packages of software that is distributed to our NDCs. Again, EU funding. So there are so many aspects of that support. And as I said this morning, it is an important partnership between technology and people. And I've given you a bit of a rundown on some of the technology and the support that comes from the EU. But when it comes to people, it's actually really significant. We have a number of different programs that develop capacity building in our member states. And there's our capacity building systems, the hardware and software that goes out to various NDCs around the network so that they can do the analytical work with the data that pours down through those satellite dishes or through their lines. And many of those capacity building systems have been funded by the EU. That's greatly appreciated. The EU pours money into various other training activities as well, and the support for technical experts to come to our meetings. I could go on, and Carl would only get more and more embarrassed. I mean, His Excellency Carl Hallegard, he would get more and more embarrassed as well. But the bit that I really love is the commitment of the EU to youth and to early career people. We have a number of people in the audience here today that are the recipients of that support. Our mentorship program has grown and grown, and this last cohort, 40 people in our mentorship program. These are early career women from mainly less represented countries in our organization, giving them an opportunity to learn, to grow, to pick up skills, to have experience and opportunities, to be exposed to training, even participate in a range of exercises and activities. These things cost money, but I so appreciate that because that's where you get your biggest return on investment, right? Invest young. And then you can reap the benefit for the rest of their lives. So the mentorship program is incredibly important. But right at the early cutting edge is the CTBTO youth group. The CTBTO youth group, a youth group of some 1,500 young people. 1,500 young people that are committed to the object, the purpose of the CTBT and of outreach around our precious treaty and a world without nuclear testing, and as to why that's so important. A youth group that has got representation of some 120 countries. Amazing. And there's various members of the youth group that are here. In fact, what we're doing, and you're going to hear a little more about that soon, is we're going to do a relaunch of the CYG, as we call it, the CTBTO Youth Group. And maybe it might even get a different name. Maybe we're going to focus a little more on early career or young professional or something. Maybe it's a little broader than youth. But there's going to be meetings held in the margins of this S&T, where people, younger people, are going to be getting together looking at how might the CYG be reborn and be even more useful and valuable to them at that early career stage. So I'm looking forward to engaging with those young people over the next few days. I'm looking forward to hearing the report back from them on Friday. They're going to give me the outcome of their considerations. I'm looking forward to all of that. But this afternoon, I'm really looking forward to hearing from two people. Two people. One, Maggie Mwanga. She is from Kenya. She has been involved in the youth group for quite a long time. Maybe she's graduated from the youth group. Maggie's an amazing story. She was a foundational person in the CYG. I think she's probably one of the youngest people to ever address the UN Security Council. She and I both addressed the UN Security Council in 2022 or 1? 21. Okay. We were both there and I felt entirely eclipsed by Maggie. Maggie, a high achiever, addressing the Security Council when she's still only 20-something. Amazing. Maggie, CYG member, and now a part of the leadership of Working Group B, our technical body. You're going to hear more from Maggie as she looks back and talks about how the CYG has been critical in her development and opportunities. But then, looking forward, we ran a little competition amongst the CYG people about put together a video or something like that to promote the CTBT, to be the voice of the CTBT, the voice for the future. And there were 6 different entries that we call winners. So you don't have to have one winner, right? We've come up with 6 winners. And Simon, who's sitting down here in front, he is going to present, his view of looking forward. And it's a great view. Simon, Maggie, many others are going to be working on the future of the CYG during this meeting. But all of this also happens because the EU supports our activities with the CYG. We'll talk more about the reception, which will follow this later. But my deep appreciation, Carl, to the EU, to you and your leadership, and really looking forward to hearing from Maggie and Simon. But Carl's going to speak first, and then we're going to see a video. So that's what we have in store. Thank you all, and I look forward to handing back to Marius, I believe. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Floyd. Your words highlight very well the partnership between CTBTO and European Union and how it has strengthened the system as well as our shared mission. And now it is my honor to invite His Excellency EU Ambassador Karl Hallegard to the stage to share his remarks.
Thank you very much, Marius. Thank you, Executive Secretary. You've said all I had to say already, so I'm grateful. It means that I can say something else. I'm really grateful, and I mean, this partnership we have with CTBTO is a really nice one. It's a strong one, and it's one that we are very proud of, and we want to protect, we want to keep. And I will tell you in a minute why, because you ask yourself, why are we here? Why are we making this special effort for CTBTO as European Union? What's the specific reason? Why are others not doing this in the same way? I think the answer goes back to our origin as European Union. We are in Europe. You see the very beautiful palace of the Austrian Empire. We've had peace conferences here. We had many difficult negotiations, but we also had many occasions of war in Europe, and we have tried to learn the lessons from those wars to make sure that we don't repeat our mistakes, that we don't end up in war again. One of those lessons was the importance of avoiding an arms race. The first thing that was done when the European Union was created was to put the steel industry and the coal industry under common control so that it could not be used for another arms race, such as the one that we had seen before the First World War and again before the Second World War. We also learned that we have to have rules. We have to have order in the world. We have to have a system so that it's not just the big countries that are safe, but all the countries, also small countries who cannot defend themselves against their big neighbors. This is what we call the rules-based international order. We know from our history in Europe what it means not to have rules and not to have order. So we are therefore maybe more than others supporting rules, supporting order, because we know what it means not to have them. The CTBT, the Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty, is a great achievement. It's a way to stop the arms race for the most dangerous weapons. And I think we, having caused, you could even say, several world wars here in Europe, we are particularly sensitive and supportive. And I'm very happy to speak to young people. I'm sorry, this is a bit of a history lecture, but this is what we old people do when we see young people. This is it's important to keep it, to protect it, and for you, for the next generation, to take it with you into the future and not lose it. I think this is the important message. This is why we support the CTBT and the CTBTO and the Executive Secretary and all his work, all his travels, all his efforts to get more countries to sign and ratify, and ultimately, we hope soon, see the treaty enter into force. We will not give up on this objective. I think for us it's a really important one. In the meantime, though, the CTBTO has remarkable achievements to be proud of. We know that it has provided the world with a truly global high-tech monitoring system for nuclear explosions that we know, and I mean this scientific week here, and I salute you scientists, because science makes us more optimistic at the moment than diplomacy, that already can be used and is being used for many other purposes as well. And I think it's a fantastic achievement. It's an achievement of international cooperation, of countries coming together, building something that is really useful and really important. And this is why we are proud to support it, and we're grateful to the Executive Secretary and all the staff of CTBTO for making it work, for building it, to all the states for allowing these stations to be set up, being part of the adventure together. And it's already, even though the treaty is not yet in force, it's already a tremendous achievement. And we're really grateful and impressed with what is already done, and it should really be fully exploited. And we will see concrete examples of this, I think, in the video and throughout the week, because I looked at the program. My God, there's a lot of beef for scientists. It's really impressive, and I'm slightly jealous. We only work on language, as diplomats, but this is the real world. So make the best use of it, whether it is for disaster early warning, to fight climate change, tsunami and volcanic ash cloud warning, or the scientific development is really impressive. And 15 of these monitoring stations are in the European Union, as are 32% of the radionuclide labs hosted in member states of the European Union. So we are quite enthusiastic, but I think rightly so. We're also enthusiastic about capacity building, in particular the program called National Data Centers for all countries. This is a nice international program, as they should be. Open for all countries. Those who can afford can pay for themselves. Others will receive support so that everyone can participate. I think this is already it's not the spirit we have on many other subjects at the moment. So I think this is also worth noting. We also are very proud of the mentoring program, and we're glad to see some of you participants here. It can make a big difference for young people, especially not from the usual countries, who will have opportunities in the way they should have. It should really be an equal opportunity program that should benefit all. And I'm looking forward to, I will stop speaking now, because I look forward to hearing from our youth delegates. This is what is for us most interesting. And I should say also that in diplomacy, you hope that you learn from your mistakes, that one generation doesn't repeat the mistakes of the past. You have doubts sometimes whether this is true, but when it comes to science, we know that it works a lot better. New science builds on old science in a way that we diplomats can only envy. So with that word of that compliment and word of encouragement, I look forward to speaking with you and to listening to you, and I hope to see you also committed in this beautiful project of bringing the treaty into the future, see it come into force, and build a really strong international spirit and network for the protection of everyone against violence, against war. We've had too much of that in world history. It's about time to get rid of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Excellency. And now, to see this partnership in action, I invite everyone to watch a video that highlights the achievements. Thank you.
A common saying says, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. With this in mind, the European Union actively engages with the CTBTO community as means to contribute to international peace and security. EU promotes universalization and entry into force of the CTBT. Specifically, EU aims at strengthening the CTBTO's international monitoring and verification regime, building capacity across state signatories, and raising awareness among youth, parliamentarians, scientists and media. The EU contribution to CTBTO helps strengthen monitoring and verification regime across divisions and technologies. Starting with the International Data Center, IDC, EU supports enhancement of seismic, hydroacoustic, infrasound and radionuclide software, formats and products. Upgrading the multi-waveform technology systems for automatic analysis and interactive review will alleviate the workload of analysts in their daily activities. Secondly, EU generous funds improve the sustainment of the auxiliary seismic stations of the International Monitoring System, IMS. The EU support enables the maintenance and enhancement of this critical component of the monitoring system, stabilizes performance of the target AS stations, and aims at increasing data availability of up to 95% or as close as feasible to 100% in a sustained manner. This is for instance the case for the AS stations in Bangladesh and in Senegal. EU assistance furthers build-up of CTBTO on-site inspection capabilities. A striking example of such activities is the provided support to complete the translation of the model text for the draft OSI operational manual into all official languages of the Commission, multiple enhancements that ensure better reliability and reach of the verification regime through EU-backed science and technology initiatives, create additional value for CTBT state signatories. Beyond the advancement of monitoring systems and verification technologies, the EU attaches great importance to translating global competence frameworks into local capabilities and long-term sustainability. Crucial to reaching those goals are integrated capacity building initiatives. The EU contribution reinforces national and regional capacity to participate meaningfully in the CTBT verification system. Particularly, it focuses on improving capacities of the national data centers, NDCs, of state signatories. The relevant activities consist in sharing fundamental knowledge of the treaty, as well as in an overview of OSI activities and equipment enabled by hands-on training. This, in practice, takes place through several initiatives. Firstly, the conduct of the OSI Regional Introductory Course in the African region in early 2024. It resulted in an increase in the number of experts from the African region in the ongoing OSI linear training program. Secondly, the provision and maintenance of the capacity building system equipment, including heavy-duty computer servers with large storage, and installation of standardized software for NDCs. Such activities support the establishment and further development of national capability to participate actively in the verification regime by accessing and analyzing IMS data and IDC products. Furthermore, the EU also supports the organization of regional NDC trainings and regional workshops by supporting the participation of experts from developing countries. Moreover, EU supports the participation of technical experts from developing countries in sessions of the CTBTO Preparatory Commission and its subsidiary bodies. The EU additionally supports the investment of the CTBTO into the future by strengthening the universal character of the CTBT, by boosting inclusivity and diversity in the Preparatory Commission, and by raising awareness about the CTBT among young professionals from non-signatories and non-ratifying countries, including states whose signature and ratification are required for entry into force of the CTBT. The EU helps the CTBTO invest not just in systems, but in people, inspiring the next generation of verification professionals and peace advocates. The outreach program ensures the CTBT has champions for tomorrow. To achieve this goal, EU supports young professionals from around the world who are encouraged to join the CTBTO Youth Group, CYG, and are introduced to disarmament and verification science. While the CTBTO mentoring program promoted by the EU enables early career women in STEM from underrepresented geographical regions to participate in CTBTO events of importance, as well as focusing on career development, communication, and expanding knowledge of the scientific and technical aspects of the CTBT. The main objective of these programs is to help the participants improve their understanding of the CTBT and its verification regime, and to contribute to it in the future. For more than a decade, with its voluntary contributions, the EU promotes the CTBT universalization and entry into force and helps to sustain and further strengthen CTBTO's monitoring and verification capabilities. Together, the EU and the CTBTO deliver advancements on verification technologies, on building capacities, and for the people with a local to global impact. Do you remember the saying, "Go alone to be faster, go together to get further"? But are you really faster when going alone? Well, with the support of the European Union, we are not only getting closer to a world without nuclear explosions, but we are reaching this goal faster.
Amazing. We have just completed the first part of the session, seeing the EU-CTBTO partnership in practice. With this, I'd like to thank our colleagues that have prepared this excellent video that shows clearly what this partnership delivers already. Now we turn to another essential element, the next generation, and the importance of young people having a voice at the table. In that regard, EU has been an important partner, building skills and creating opportunities for them. Also, with the very generous support of European Union, the CTBTO Youth Group, but also other young professionals in STEM, in diplomacy, and other fields, are now a very vibrant community of advocates for banning nuclear tests worldwide. At S&T, they come to test ideas, they share their perspectives, they reflect on the progress, as well as co-create the future. That is why today we welcome two youth representatives. One has been with CTBTO Youth Group from the very beginning, and the other one has joined only recently. But together they bring both experience and fresh perspective in order to shape the future. To start with Ms. Magdalene Wanyaga, or as we all know her, Maggie. I'll not stop very long to introduce her because Dr. Floyd did a very good job in that regard. But I will add just only one sentence, that she has been with us from the very beginning. She has seen how the youth group has developed, has grown. She has benefited from the activities of the youth group, and she knows very well how that work can help also the work of CTBTO. Please join me in welcoming Maggie to give her remarks.
So, I'll give a speech on the reflections of the origins, the values, and the evolution of the CYG, or the CTBTO Youth Group. And it's an honor to be on this stage, all protocols observed. So it's both humbling and inspiring for me to stand before you today to reflect on the journey of the CTBTO Youth Group, a journey I have been privileged to walk from its very first days. The CTBTO Youth Group, or CYG as we like to call it, was launched in 2016 at the Science and Diplomacy for Peace Security, the CTBT Art20 Symposium in Vienna. At the time, none of us could have predicted what would become of the youth group. And what began as a bold idea to give young people a seat at the table has grown into a dynamic global platform of more than 1,500 members from more than 117 countries, including Annex II states, whose ratification remains central to the treaty's entry into force. From the beginning, the CYG was about more than representation. It was about the values that we carry and embody, revitalizing the conversation around the CTBT, raising awareness of the test ban's importance, building knowledge transfer, involving new technologies, and placing the CTBT on the agenda of the world's most important discussions. These values have shaped our initiatives and continue to guide our work today. Personally, one of the most defining moments was in Kazakhstan in 2018, where, as the youth group, we visited the Semipalatinsk test site. And visiting this site and seeing the lasting impact of nuclear weapon testing is a profound reminder that this work is not abstract, but deeply human. The experience solidified my commitment, not only as a scientist, but as an advocate to ensure that no one else suffers from the same fate. Over the years, the CYG has transformed from an outreach initiative into a platform of real influence and professional growth. through initiatives such as the Citizen Journalism Academy, Building Bridges Project, the CTBTO Research Fellowship Program. CYG members have learned not only to engage, but to lead. The mentorship program for early career women that supports women in STEM for global impact is another milestone, offering tailored mentorship to early career women in technical fields and proving that diversity strengthens disarmament and verification efforts. These initiatives have not only built capacity, but opened doors. I am proud to have personally carried the CYG's message to the high-level platforms, including, well, a historic moment in 2021, where I briefed the United Nations Security Council on the CTBT's 25th anniversary, and that experience, in line with the UN Security Council resolutions on youth, peace, and security, reaffirmed that youth are not just the future. We are here now, ready to contribute to international peace and security. The European Union's steadfast support has been invaluable in this journey, whether through capacity building, enabling the youth to attend S&T conferences, or innovative initiatives such as the CYG Contact Creators Be the Voice of S&T's project. These efforts are not just about visibility, they are about building the real confidence and global networks for young leaders. In the recent years, the momentum of the CYG has experienced a slowdown. This is a natural, it's natural in any evolving movement, but also offers us a chance to pause, reflect, and renew. Now, as we look ahead, the priority must be to reactivate the youth group with fresh energy and vision, ensuring that it continues to serve as a platform of youth leadership, career development, global impact in disarmament and non-proliferation. As we reflect in the origins and values brought us here, we must also look forward. These challenges before us, such as entry into force, universalization, strengthening the verification regime, cannot be solved by one generation alone, and it needs all of us to hold hands together. It is time to involve the youth more directly in shaping solutions, to move beyond participation to partnership, and to foster the next generation of leaders in disarmament and non-proliferation. And yet, as we celebrate these achievements, I believe it is time to take the next step. The CYG has proven itself as a trusted, informed, and committed partner in advancing the CTBT. We are ready not only to contribute, but to lead with guidance, definitely, and support from senior leaders. It is time to hand the keys of this great group to the youth themselves, so that we may chart the future with ownership and responsibility as well as vision. So let me close with two reflections. One is by the President, Franklin Roosevelt. He once said, "We cannot always build the future for our youth." I love using this one, but we can build our youth for the future. And in the words of the former UN Secretary General Kofi Annan, young people should be at the forefront of global change and innovation. Empowered, they can be key of agents for development and peace. If, however, they're left on society margins, all of us will be impoverished. Let us ensure that all young people have every opportunity to participate fully in the lives of their societies. The CTBTO Youth Group has been exactly that, a space where youth have been prepared, empowered, and trusted. Now let's go further. Let us entrust this generation with leadership so that we together can finish what we started and close the door to nuclear testing forever. Thank you.
Thank you, Maggie, for those inspiring reflections. We'll now watch a short video by Mr. Tai Lee Kwok, or Simon, as everyone close to him know him by. Simon is one of the winners of the Be the Voice of SNT Global Challenge that is organized. For this contest, young people had to produce a 60-second video to show how they can spread and disseminate the message of CTBT and why supporting our work matters. The result was creativity, energy, fresh perspectives on treaty's future. Before we watch the video, just a quick introduction for Simon. He's an international relations undergraduate from Vietnam with a passion for security studies, diplomacy, disarmament, and humanitarian action. Let's now take a look at Simon's video. Thank you.
What if it starts with a question? What if this mattered to someone who never thought about it before? And that's the heart of what I create, to bring distant issues a little bit closer, to take something like nuclear disarmament and make it real, human, and urgent. And behind the data, the treaties are the tools, science that listens to the earth, technology that sees what's hidden, and diplomacy that builds trust, even when it feels impossible. And at the center of it all, young people who are ready to lead, if only we're given the chance. That's why the CTBT matters. It's not only about stopping nuclear tests, it's about proving that cooperation works, can be a single for peace. And through content, I try to shape that understanding, to turn complexity into clarity and fear into action. And because the future depends on voices willing to speak and stories bold enough to be told.
Simon, excellent, and congratulations. And now I'm very pleased to invite Simon himself to the lectern to share his reflections in person. Simon, the floor is yours.
I'm so sorry I'm so underdressed for this special occasion. But it is a privilege to be here, to be able to speak about the CTBT, a treaty that, even after nearly 3 decades, remains one of the most powerful unfinished story of peace and security. The CTBT was designed to draw a red line under the age of nuclear testing to ensure that no country would ever again poison the air, the earth, and the future generations. That mandate is not only critical, but it is profoundly moral. I'm not the best at giving public speeches, but I would try my greatest to deliver my perspective on one of the most important treaties in history to date. But the challenge is, if you do ask some 20-year-old what CTBTO is about, they'll probably ask if that's your Wi-Fi password. It's funny, but it's also very dangerous. Because when something is important isn't seen, it isn't remembered. And when it isn't remembered, it risks being forgotten in a moment when it matters the most. And the truth is, the world today has an attention span less than a commercial. If your story doesn't land in 15 seconds, people swipe. If it can't fit into a reel, a meme, or a single sentence that sticks, it disappears. That is where my generation comes in, not because we're fresh or energetic. That's cliche. But it's about how we can live and create in that space. Youth are not naive, but often we are uninformed. When ignorance combines with that powerful tools of communication, it creates a fertile ground for misinformation. Future looking forward, that is why the new initiative Be the Voice of SNT 2025 is about. It recognizes that all great policymakers are great storytellers, and not all storytellers are well-informed. This initiative bridges that gap. It takes knowledge and turns it into a form that travels. It makes science, law, policy not only accessible, but also engaging without sacrificing substance. It allows a treaty nearly 30 years ago to feel like a choice being argued over right now. But here's the truth. We cannot do this alone. I cannot do this alone. Storytelling is powerful, but without guidance, it can drift, or worse, misguide. And for us, the often uninformed individuals still learning to see the divide between right and wrong, leadership is essential. And we need the CTBTO to guide us, support us, so that our stories remain anchored to the mission of peace and security. And with leadership, our creativity becomes a tool of protection and not distortion. It's simple. You lead the path, we pave the way. Because institutions themselves do not inspire people, stories do. And youth-told storytelling is what makes the invisible visible and what carries the work of the CTBTO beyond the Conference of Vienna into the minds of the next generation. So if the CTBTO is to be remembered not just as a treaty, but as a safeguard, it will need not only diplomats, scientists, and policymakers, but also storytellers. It will need people who can make any technical topics feel as urgent as any headline and shareable as any meme. Change does not begin with the press release. It begins with a question. The kind that sparks curiosity, the kind that's traveled, the kind that cannot be swiped away. And my invitation to you tonight is simple. Join us in this movement. Let the questions be heard. Let the voices be amplified. And together we can carry forward a future free from nuclear testing. Thank you.
Thank you, Simon. Thank you. And once again, congratulations. Congratulations also to the 5 other winners of the global contest. Now allow me to thank all of our speakers. I believe the message today was very clear. So we learn from the past and we invest for the future. The next generation of experts is important to carry this treaty forward. Strengthening their role now secures the CTBT for tomorrow. And now, to close this session and continue with what I believe everyone is looking forward to, I would like, and it is my honor to invite once again the Executive Secretary of CTBTO, Dr. Robert Floyd, to deliver his closing remarks.
Thank you, Marius. And thank you to our 2 speakers. Weren't they wonderful? All right. It reminded me of what we saw early today on the initial video, where it said, today, tomorrow, together. We heard from Maggie about today, and in fact, how the CYG came into being, what the CYG has done, the importance of youth in advocacy, in diplomacy, in lifting and taking this important banner and this important mission forward. Maggie, we're proud of you and all of those that have worked with you. You've done a super job, and the CYG has flourished with your involvement and others' involvements. But that was today. Did you understand what Simon was talking about? There's a lot of language there I'm not so familiar with. What is it about being swiped? Some new verb. As uncomfortable as that was, I think that's an important message. And that's about tomorrow. Tomorrow, I think, might be upon us already. But to think about How do we effectively communicate in this world and with a next generation and moving into a new world? And I loved the different perspective, the different ideas, the importance of relevance, and the importance of having vehicles that will work now and into the future. Simon, wonderful video, but you actually do public speak well. Don't you run yourself down, my friend. But Simon told us a bit about tomorrow. But together, no, it doesn't say together there, it did this morning. Together is about recharting the CYG and where do we go from here. And it's about taking from the past, looking at the present, bringing those together that might be young and less young and others to charting a future for the next generation and for this treaty. In this S&T, we've worked hard to have a program that is meaningfully engaging younger people, early career people, mid-career people, meaningfully engaging, not just token positions. So we've seen young people speaking on panels. There's going to be brainstorming sessions, so many different things of meaningful engagement. May we never do tokenism, whether it's about age or gender or regions of the world. May it always be meaningful. But that's what this S&T has been about, is about meaningful engagement. But I want to leave you all with one final thought. We often talk about the success of our treaty, right? The amazing success that has been already. When we talk about 2,000 nuclear tests before the opening for signature in 1996, and then 10 since then. Amazing success. We talk about the international monitoring system and the technology and the analytical stuff. Amazing success that can pick up a nuclear explosion anywhere, anytime, over every square kilometre of this planet. Or can debunk disinformation anywhere, anytime. Amazing success in technology. But what does success look like when we think of people? The point I want to leave you with is that there is no success without successors, successors, those that would follow. And the work that we have in front of us with our precious treaty, with a ban on nuclear testing, requires successors. It requires people to come after each of us. Whether you're working in a technical capacity, a diplomatic capacity, a leadership capacity, whatever, there is no success without successors, people that follow after. And so the work that's going to be done with the CYG members now and in the future is partly looking at how do we ensure success that has successors. I think it's good for us each to think about that and to see how we invest in the future in people. We do that by sustaining technology, right? But how do we then build for the next generation of people to be involved? Friends, courtesy of generous contribution from the EU, we have a reception waiting outside. This reception is an opportunity to engage intergenerationally, an opportunity for discussions to be had, ideas to be shared, thoughts to be generated, new ideas to come up. And so you're all invited to the reception, and we thank the EU for their generous contribution. The other sessions that are in parallel, when they finish, they will be coming and joining also. So as we close this session, you're all warmly invited, on behalf of Carl and myself, to the reception outside. Use it to help build your successes. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Floyd. And this concludes our session. And I now invite you all to join us at the reception. Thank you.